Hello and welcome back, my friends. This is Hambbage, and we're ready for another hardcore vanilla Minecraft play session. This one's going to be a bit. Oh, wow. You're not being thanked, you're being told that it's starting soon. But we don't even need that, because I already told you. We're starting. Um, yeah, this one's going to be a bit of a wild card episode. Probably pretty quick, I'm guessing. But. Just wanted to jump on quick. It's later RL in the same day that I ran out the last few episodes, and we've let's hold on because might as well, right? And I think we had some of that. You know, a little extra juice. All right, so random start. I was just looking. I was like, I think I left stuff in there. So, what do we got going? We're going to go get some sand. Some just regular old sand. Still daytime. What do we need? Anything? Oh, we got our bed. Hold on. Got a box. Let's see if we can get over there. We're going to take a boat. We flew a lot in the last couple episodes, and it was wonderful. And now it's time to head on over and get beyond our little quarry area. We've kind of hit it for the sand. It's got a lot of sandstone. Well, let's go further back. Just because we can. We need a bunch of glass. That's going to be our next big commodity. Resource, something. We're not going to be trading it too much. I don't know how commodity it will be, but it's going to be a big need, and we're going to need some coal, and we're going to need some additional stoves to keep cooking it. We've talked about this in previous episodes, but something to get started on. And on a beautiful spring evening, this is perfect time to do this, but I think this episode is going to be pretty quick and may end fairly abruptly, so fair warning. We have a situation on my end that I'm running my dryer, and I don't think that the dryer noise, it may be just a little bit of white noise back behind me. I don't know how much the mic will even pick up the dryer itself. But my dryer likes to beep a lot at the end of the cycle. And depending on when that happens and where we're at, we may call ourselves good at that point. We'll see. But what I kind of wanted to jump on and just chat about a little bit here. It is today. RL is May 25th. 2021. It's a Tuesday, I think. And I got to tell you, for me right here, it has been one of the most beautiful. I mean, it couldn't be a more perfect evening, honestly. I cooked up some dinner, grilled again outside. It was beautiful. Ate out on my deck. Just an awesome little evening, and then I went for not quite a 4-mile walk, but a little bit less, and the temperature was sitting right around 70 degrees, and the sky was just, perfect as the sun was kind of mixing through, partly cloudy, and white puffy clouds to start, then started picking up some color, and then clouds kind of back on the west side, blocked a little bit of the sun, so it got a little bit darker, but then what they're saying is the super flower blood moon, I believe, is the full name here, and there's a little bit going into that. And I'm not an astronomer, but I love, as much as you guys probably know, I appreciate just anything going on in nature. I love astronomical type events. So what does that name mean? Well, the flower moon, apparently, I didn't know this one, is the fifth full moon of the year. Fitting, we're in May, the fifth month, and usually the moon's pretty closely aligned. Sometimes you can get a blue moon, which is a second moon, full moon in a month, when we have longer months than the lunar cycle at 28 days. And full moons get named. So I'm assuming that each moon has a name. I don't know them all by any means. Like Harvest Moon, everybody's heard of, and certainly Blue Moon is pretty common, being those second in a month. But I think I just may have accidentally suffocated a bunny. Sorry about that, bunny. But yeah, so flower being the fifth moon of the full moon of the 2021 year, always pretty cool, and it rose so beautifully. After I got done on my walk, I just stepped back outside, kind of, not really a cool down, I was just on a walk. It wasn't anything too grueling, but went back outside just to kind of enjoy the evening. It was still that kind of dusky time, and the temperature in the night was just so perfect. It was like, I don't want to be inside yet. So I went out and kind of watched it. It rose between, I positioned myself so it rose between a couple trees, and just watched it up for the first little bit when it's it's right on the horizon. It looks just huge by comparison, brightly lit. It was really impressive. Well, the blood part of a moon in a moon name means that there's going to be a total eclipse. The blood comes from the total eclipse part, and I've a few years back, and lunar eclipses are not nearly as uncommon as full solar eclipses. They just have a more narrow band, right? The moon relative to anyway is smaller than the Earth or the Sun, so there's a more narrow arc across the face of the Earth when you have a solar eclipse. But they become more difficult to see, obviously, because they're in the middle of the night a lot of times, and that doesn't make it real easy to observe one. Well, I watched a full lunar eclipse from the very beginning up until totality, totality, and then I went back in and went to bed because I'd been up half the night, and it was great. It was before the big solar eclipse 2 years ago now, 2018, 2019, something. Maybe it was before that. I don't know. It seems like it just happened, but things have a way of doing that, right? So I had gotten to enjoy a full solar eclipse, or a full lunar eclipse, before the big solar eclipse. So I kind of knew the whole phases and progression and everything before it ever happened, which is great. From a observer standpoint, it's always kind of good to know, okay, it's coming, here's how long you have, kind of the process that you go through when heavenly or cosmic bodies are going into those phases of shadow. So that was really, really cool. When I went up to Wyoming to watch the full solar eclipse, and that was a great experience too. So I've seen one, and really powerful because nobody else was crazy enough to do this, and I just sat out on my back deck, and it was clear. I don't know that it was winter, but it was chilly. It was chilly in the middle of the night, even if it was the middle of the summer. I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was really kind of powerful to watch this thing progress. And what was more impressive to me as a casual observer was experiencing the sounds of the environment as it happened. They were incredible because this is the middle of the night in a fairly quiet neighborhood, and there's not much going on. It was late. I think it started probably around midnight and reached its full by I don't know, sometime like late 2 o'clock, early 3 o'clock in the morning kind of times. This was, it's a long time from when it first begins to be obscured to the totality. And so I'm kind of watching it, and as I'm just chilling outside, not, this was when I lived in a house in the neighborhood, and, you're not making a bunch of noise, but I had my tripod out, my spotting scope, and I had camera set up to click into that to shoot through it, and it was pretty fun. When I did all that, and sitting out by myself on the deck, kind of watching this thing progress, it was amazing because, middle of the night, there's not a lot of wildlife. I hear a few owls hoot every once in a while and some of that kind of stuff. But as it began to eclipse, as it got into the kind of partials, I noticed that, all these birds and stuff started making noises. And then as it got closer and closer to totality, like the coyotes all around started just singing their brains out. And here in Colorado, especially, I think coyotes are pretty ubiquitous all around, but you may not hear them, or they may not be as vocal. Where I lived was kind of surrounded with a lot of different green belts and open space, and so there were some pretty significant packs at that point, and they all started going crazy. I mean, you could hear all the different packs going, and they were just, back and forth answering each other. And it really brings home that how much wildlife notices and appreciates those same, those powerful influences on their worlds. We assume, I think rightly so. I'm not trying to ascribe a whole bunch of animal craziness or anything, but I think pretty rightly we understand that they don't have a firm grasp of the cosmos and all that kind of stuff, but they certainly understand cycles of the planets just on the way that they're light when they're nocturnal type animals, even if they're not. How those things come into play. And, for a long time, everybody's kind of familiar with the whole full moon, and I think probably everyone's heard, the reports that ERs and stuff go crazy on full moon nights because even people tend to get a little wild on full moons. So whether we really acknowledge it or not, I think a lot of us are more influenced than we may realize by those things. And that, that's not being all conspiracy or, crystals or anything like that. It's just, you think about tides and everything else, these things have a big factor that we may not be in our conscious, but just, we feel the gravity as much as the waves and everything do, the water on the surface. So, that's a pretty powerful reminder that yeah, these things are always acting on the Earth in total, and we're residents of the Earth, so yeah, it's only right that we're in some way being impacted by those. Uh, but when an eclipse event goes into totality, and it happened in the solar eclipse too, and if you go look, and I was kind of studying up a little bit on those, just fun kind of nothing serious, but just it's fun to read up when you're planning a trip to go camping and observe an eclipse like that, and know you're going to be in ridiculous traffic as a result. Um, it was just something you might as well learn a little bit while you're doing it. So I'd kind of read in advance, yeah, a lot of diurnal day active animals will actually prepare for, if they're birds, they will start to bed down. They'll kind of begin their night songs and stuff like that. And some of them will actually roost briefly in the midst of the eclipse until it clears, and then they'll be like, "Oh, morning, all right, I guess it's time to go back up." Well, with a lunar eclipse, it was really crazy that, first of all, in a normally quiet time of the night, a lot of those things hunt, but they don't normally socialize. That's usually dawn and dusk type activity. So to hear them become so active at such a normally quiet time was one thing, and then as soon, like pin drop, as soon as it went to full totality, everything went quiet. Like all these coyotes and things that have been singing and going crazy, done. Like, okay, what's going on? We're out. Everything went silent, and it was as if all these animals are just kind of waiting. You kind of get this like eerie, spooky feeling of like they're all kind of waiting to see if it comes back. That kind of a feeling, because as soon, and most eclipses, I think this one they were saying is like 19 minutes or something like that. And they range from like, depending on the angle and all that, from like 10 to 20 minutes of totality at most, and then they're done. And it begins to receive direct light again from the sun, and gradually the effect lessens. So that was really just eye-opening at how much the rest of the world takes note of those kind of things. It's not just people at NASA and stuff like that, or mathematicians. You think back to like Newton and all, Halley and Copernicus and all of those guys. Not just physicists and cosmologists and astrophysicists and everybody. The whole world, and it makes us aware of how ignorant we've become of the world around us. How much other species take notice of those kind of things. And it's fun to imagine back to, before we had our current view of the cosmos and kind of enough accurate understanding that we can send people to Mars, or probes at least. We haven't sent people yet, but we can send people to the moon. So we pretty much understand their orbits now. That's been proven pretty well each time we send people up there. I was pretty amazed, and nowadays if I know something like that's coming, I'll if it's like crazy in the middle of the day and I've got other stuff, I've seen it. I'm not going to go out of my way. But so I was just hearing somebody sent me a text and was like, "Hey, did you know that there's an eclipse?" No, I hadn't caught that one. But I was excited, like, oh, an eclipse. All right, what's the deal? And it sounds like in Denver we're kind of on the very edge of visibility. And I was checking the times and everything, and this may really burn us because we have these Rocky Mountain things that are piled up to the west, and the full totality of the eclipse begins at about I think 5:10 ish, sometime around that a.m. So it's a very convenient lunar eclipse. For one sense, if you can get one at 5 a.m., that's not huge disruption. You just get up a little bit early and go check it out. So very cool in that sense. The problem is that at this time of year, and I checked, sunrise for tomorrow is at 5:36, and as most would know, even if you haven't been up for a sunrise in a while, you may have been up for a sunset, and usually even after those things happen, the sky's pretty bright. It's not like the direct sun has to be up; it's lighting up the atmosphere and all that. So I don't know. It's kind of mind-boggling that you can even have an eclipse when you're that close to sunrise. And then just in looking at the little chart thing, it said, before the next after total eclipse, there's partial, right, as it's moving back out, and by the time it reaches the next phase, which is when it's just getting kind of ring shadow effect from it, the moon is already set, and we, with the mountains, may lose even more than that. Worse, it's supposed to be partly cloudy, and tomorrow is supposed to be a little more cloudy than it was today. So I don't know, maybe get lucky because it's so convenient. Being at 5 a.m. it's a little earlier than I typically start, but I'm thinking I'll probably set an alarm and at least look out, see what the sky's doing, and may get out for a little walk. Try to go up a hill. I'm pretty close. I'm on kind of the northwest edge of Denver, and that kind of obscures a lot of stuff. But if I don't go too far to the east, I can kind of climb up an open ridge type area and look back towards the mountains, which is great for, I really like it at sunrise when the sun's coming up behind your back and you're looking at the mountains and they're getting all lit up. Sometimes that can be just incredibly beautiful. So it could work out really well, or it could be all, there could be a bank of clouds up there. It could be nothing. So it's, we'll see what happens, but it's exciting to know. And I just wanted to jump on quick. And since I had something new that I totally hadn't anticipated even happening, talk about that while we dig some sand here. So my question is, if any of you guys are watching this, did you see this particular lunar eclipse, or did you have you seen other do you have lunar eclipse stories like mine? Anything unusual? Did you maybe go camping to get out away from city lights or something? I mean, a lunar eclipse, you don't really need to do that. That's kind of a nice thing about a lunar eclipse, right? Or a solar eclipse. They're big, and you don't need to have special equipment or gear or anything to see them happening. You just kind of do it. Yeah, if you've got any eclipse-related fun, or remembering back to the big event that was the full solar eclipse, anybody have fun memories from that? Oh, did I push you back down in the hole? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just, even if they're fairly common events, I think my chests are back that way. It's easy to get spun around out here. They become very memorable in our lives, right? And we tend to associate them with events. I can remember the first. Now I'm gonna struggle. What's the meteor showers in summer, August? I don't think it's the Perseids. I think those are the winter ones. But middle of August, I believe, is when the usual meteor shower falls. And I remember the first time being out camping for that. And if anybody's ever heard the widely known John Denver Rocky Mountain High song, if you're in Colorado, you've heard it. I guarantee. If you're not, you probably heard it too. It's not necessarily a weed song, although John Denver, I think, partook a little bit as well back in the 70s. But that's kind of the Colorado anthem. It's he kind of phrased that song around it, but it's really he's not talking about token up. He's talking about being out in the mountains when a meteor shower hits. And the lines are, I've seen it rain and fire from the sky, and that is an unbelievable experience as well. That was kind of what really got me into noticing the heavens, and kind of nowadays when I'm camping, it's kind of joked, I'm the fire warden, when everybody else is rolling off to bed, I'll be the one that is kind of, just stirring the coals of a dying fire. For me, it's the camping gets best when everybody's gone to bed, and the people that love to just, keep throwing stuff on the fire and have flashlights all the time, like, oh yeah, lanterns, music and all that. Like, I love some music, and I see the appeal of lanterns. They certainly have a purpose, but I love watching the starscape spin over, or we spin under it is the reality, but overhead watching, the Milky Way and the planetary arc, and just having the chance to think about how we sit amongst all that. It can be mind-boggling to then consider, all right, well, here's our relative position, and the moon is moving, we're spinning this way, and here's the moon out there, and that's why it comes around, and then you start thinking about the years, how we shift in relation to that, and then once you've had those opportunities to really just see in a dark sky, and the mountains, desert mountains are the best because you get up high and there's no humidity, so you can see everything. But for most of us, just getting away from a city is amazing, because you see so few stars these days due to light pollution, and that's a good thing, right? We have lit highways and things like that. We have lights in our yards, but our world doesn't stop when the sun goes down. It used to be that people's day-to-day activities and social services and all those kind of things really they couldn't be implemented overnight. There just wasn't the means to see to get around. You could in an emergency ride a horse down a road, and if there was some moon you could see a little bit, but if it's cloudy or rainy or anything, you're out of luck, and you risk further danger. If you're riding a horse, it could step in a hole and have an injury. If you're walking, you're more vulnerable to animals and things you can't see. So our world has really, really changed with that light pollution that we so love to cry out against. And that's not all bad, really, but the opportunity to get away from it is so powerful. If I ever became Bill Gates, right, or if he decided, hey, I'm picking you, Hambbage, and I want you to start a charity or a foundation. There's a couple. Certainly something about mentality and health, and how to take control of a lot of that stuff. Just in an education format would be important to me, but equally important would be the opportunity for people to get out of cities, because a lot of people never have that chance, and it's a real shame. it so changes your perspective when you begin to think, hey, that this is how far away that dot is, and that brighter dot is even further away. So think about how much bigger it is. If you think about like Mars as opposed to Jupiter or Saturn, or, one of the other planetary dots out there, and those kind of things really, it's like that classic pale blue. Well, Carl Sagan wrote Pale Blue Dot. That was his one of his space, nonfiction books, and the phrase was largely inspired by an early NASA astronaut. I forget the name, but it was in one of the early, I think, Mercury missions. But it may well have been one of the first Apollos, not one of the landings, but when they went and orbited the moon to prove they could get there and get back. Then you still have a bigger challenge of landing something and being able to take off again. But one of the first big missions when everything was national news, like, oh man, they did this, or it was this much longer than the last one. That's crazy, and everybody had space fever. Well, somebody had, I'm sure they were instructed to, but they brought a camera up and took this picture of a view from the, with the moon, I think in focus, but from about the distance of the moon, looking back at the Earth, and how it was just this, indistinguishable dot compared to everything else. And I think that was actually Voyager. I may be confusing a lot of stuff. Again, I'm very casual about all this kind of stuff. I just think it's amazing and hugely interesting. So, pale blue dot, or the concept of this, it really became championed by the environmental movement, that we live on an island. Guess what? We're pretty small in the whole void of space, and there's not many other dots like ours in our solar system, and so far none of them are just. We can bounce over there and it'll be fun. We can continue as a species. So we got to take care of this one. gotta take care of what you got, and that's so everybody markets things differently, and that's a lot of that gets personal causes and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying you have to just immediately fall over for everybody that says something just phrasing in that, but just that mentality. It's like I talk about travel a lot and how important it is for people to get a the whole idea of like national egotism, or there's a very real concept of the rude American in if you travel to other countries. It's just like Americans act like these just entitled jerks that think that everywhere they go should be like their home, and they should have everything the way that they do. People that travel here that we kind of look down our noses at tourists and stuff, and they're like, yeah, we just adapt to the way that your American society is. We don't expect to have things provided to us in our language. We don't expect to have our favorite dishes available. Although we as Americans, we love to have a whole bunch of different ethnic foods, or at least our versions of them. But we we don't really accommodate a whole lot of other cultures pervasively the way that a lot of American tourists just expect to be treated. And once you've been to places that either don't have the means or the desire to do that, it's very eye-opening. If you get off the cruise line, right? I give a lot of hard time, kind of undue. Cruises are awesome, especially some of the ones that actually bother to try to teach you something as you go. But for a number of reasons, they're really, really good opportunities. But they are that kind of a prepared experience, right? You're never going to be uncomfortable because you're never going to be pushed outside your comfort zone or given a chance to. And I have a big personal opinion that it's outside your comfort zone where you grow, right? You have to be uncomfortable, whether it's physical fitness or whether it's in school or in a job or anything else. You have to go take on those things that you don't just know how to do if you want to grow and become a better employee or a more fit person or a better person in a relationship, any of that kind of stuff. You gotta do the work to do it, and it's not work if it's comfortable. So I think the same thing goes for eclipses and meteor showers. And went and saw a comet earlier this year in the middle of the pandemic. So all those kind of things. It may not be comfortable to get up early in the morning and drag yourself out of bed and start your day early and go look to see if it's even visible or not. But those things can really stimulate you. It may not change your life. It certainly probably wouldn't for me because I've gone out of my way to see a few of them now. But I think if the sky was just right and it was lighting up and those mountains are getting the kind of what they call alpenglow, which is as the sun is reaching their heights kind of before you're kind of in a low, so the mountains begin to glow with the light of the atmosphere. Before the direct sunrises hit them, something like that could be just amazing. And so from just a beautiful standpoint, I'd love to have the chance to see it if I can. But, one way or another, it won't do a whole lot. And it may be totally washed out. The fact that it's happening just before... Oh, there's our beep. Hang on one second. I want to escape, mute you guys, and I'll be right back. All right. Thanks for your patience, everybody. I don't know if I even got to warn about that, but the dryer, I talked about the back noise. It may just be white noise, but it's a loud beep, and it goes like 3 times, and they each get longer and longer. So just had to step out of the way to go click that off and stop the timer. But my nice morning workout hoodie is in there, and I think I might need it tomorrow. So I want that clean and ready to go. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I have very low expectations, especially since I didn't know about this more than, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. Wow, we are doing it up. We're gonna have to figure out where to put all this sand eventually, but the correct answer is it's all going to go in ovens. I don't know. I know for folks east of us, it's even worse odds. Happens at a more reasonable time, but the moon is setting quicker too. And that's another tough part. When you see those kind of projections, it gets real tough because they're talking about a time zone. And this is another, when you're out looking at the cosmos, you have a better grasp as you start to comprehend, how things are moving. That the time in the time zone is different in how it impacts it. And so if you ever look at, if you're a fisherman or a hunter or something, where exact sunrise sunset times are important for when you can actually begin to hunt. A lot of those are limited. That you'll see that the times actually change as you go within a state or within a time zone, larger. So here I think Mountain Time begins out in middle of Nebraska. It kind of runs up and down Kansas, Nebraska, and the Dakotas. So if you're sitting right on that edge, think about it. If you walk 100 yards to the east, you may be in Central Time, at which point the sunrise would be at, let's say, if you just look across the board, it may be at 6:30 a.m. Central Time, because the sun, the sun's coming up relative to the surface of the Earth. But then if you take that 100 yards back to the west, the sun's coming up at 5:30 because the time has changed. So across the space of each time zone, you have kind of accordion of how the actual times play out. And that's another just amazing thing. But it does play a role for how myself in a mountain time zone, kind of towards the east of that time zone, compared to somebody in Utah, might experience it. They're still going to be closer to nighttime, less pre-dawn light in the air at the time of the eclipse, and the moon will be a little further from setting over the horizon. So all those factors come into play, and I don't know how that will, where they were calculating those times from or anything like that. So it could be, moon could already be down behind the mountains really by the time it's going, or it could be far too light to see much of anything. I've many times gotten up on the way to work and stuff, depending on, probably not in May, usually fall or spring or even winter especially, when the days are shorter, you much more notice a moonset over the mountains, especially when they're full. It's beautiful. And if you're dry, I always kind of angled to the west on my way into work. So those were kind of in the middle now. I don't know what to do. Those are some great mornings. How can you start a day not in a bad mood? Even if things aren't going right or you're not looking forward to that meeting or whatever, you're driving into work and you come over a hill or you turn a corner and all of a sudden you got a clear view through to the mountains and there's like a full moon, just kind of that shadowy, it's beginning to be daylight, but there's a shadowy moon in the starting to get blue sky, just dipping in over a mountain peak. Oh man, yeah, you're not having a bad start to the day. The day can change pretty quick, but that's a good way to start them off, that's for sure. So we'll see. We'll see if I have a day that starts with amazing nature, or if I wake up, walk outside, and it's like drizzling or overcast, and it's like, yeah, I hope somebody gets to see it. So I hope if any of you folks are watching and heard that news and get up early tomorrow on the 26th to see it. And for those of our friends over in Asia, who also have a much probably better appropriate nighttime view of the full lunar eclipse. If you guys have seen it, please share your experiences. That would be really cool in the comments. But we'll see if I see it or if anybody else does, maybe something else. But I just thought that would be knowing we had to start on sand, and I just heard that, came back and was like, oh, this is a fun thing to just kind of babble about for a while here, where we're doing something that's not particularly exciting, just vacuuming up sand. And let's see, what else? It was, like I said, it was so, I still like, was that night really as nice as it was? It was, on the particular walk I did, which was like really, really chill. But I kind of swing through like a very, I wouldn't even say it's like an industrial park at all. It's like a, I don't know, like mixed use, not commercial really, just kind of like a sort of office park. And in this one part, it kind of cuts down, it borders on another creek that joins the creek that I live next to. So I kind of cut across land to get to it, if you want to call it that. They're pretty small creeks, right? But there's like one flowing into the other, and by going this way, I make a big loop basically, and I just cut through some lightly used parking lots that if you're not at morning rush hour or afternoon, there's not a lot of traffic in them, not even a lot of cars. So I was a little surprised that as I was walking over to this other kind of creek valley and cutting through these parking lots, there was a lot of people getting out of cars and stuff. Like one of the places is like one of those managed data centers where other companies will host their servers. The people there don't may provide some services, but usually you have all the access and administer the servers. They make sure that like the power and the racks and everything are in, and that it's secure. Nobody's wandering in and unplugging stuff. Hopefully, so there's one of those kind of places, and I've worked in those kinds of industries. I've certainly done my share of putting stuff into and ripping stuff out of those kinds of, they're called colos, co-location data centers. And so there's one of those, and they're all over the country, right? These aren't like huge server farms. These are just convenient to other offices where, you may not have the need or the desire to put in a full, cooling system, redundant power and all that kind of stuff. You get your PCs and somebody to help administer those, and maybe a couple of routers and things in your main office, but your main, like your big email servers or customer data and all that, those go in a facility that's designed to handle them and do all the infrastructure stuff. So it was one of those. And as I was, kind of crossing a street to get into this parking lot, I saw like 3 or 4 people all standing together, and there were like lots of cars. And I'm thinking to myself, because this is my experience, like, oh man, these people are going to be in. It's like here it is, a Tuesday evening, and obviously they've got some big project or something going on. They're like, all right, after business hours, we're all going to go over to the thing, and set something up. But they were dressed way nicer than you ever dress for that kind of stuff. They're very clean type places, but you're still like crawling around on the floor, and unless it's like brand new install, you're like pulling through cables, they get dusty and all that. As much as they want to keep them kind of clean room type stuff, they're not designed, they're not clean room situations. So yeah, you're going to be crawling around on a floor that doesn't get mopped and all that kind of stuff, lifting up removable floor tiles to get underneath stuff and crawling around and all that. So anyway, you don't dress up, and these people were pretty nicely dressed, all put together, and I was like, well, that's weird. And they kind of walked in the direction I was walking, and this complex is like 2 back-to-back buildings, and then in between them is a big open area that's no parking where I guess, trucks and deliveries and stuff can go. And one of the places is a, like a doggy daycare facility. And so, as I walk by it various times, you can always hear, they've got like a big masonry or I don't know. It's kind of a wall rather than just a fence. That's an enclosed area for them to exercise the dogs and stuff, where they can, just let them out and do whatever. You hear them barking all the time, right? Because these dogs are in an unfamiliar place with unfamiliar people, and usually it doesn't sound like they're just having a blast. But it's good for the dogs and all that. So I've many, many, many times walked past this place, and, there's like a couple of random basketball courts and all that kind of stuff. As I'm walking up, and these people are kind of looking funny, and then they turn and walk in there. And as I look, there's like a big, like, not a grandstand, but like a big outdoor stage. One that, like, if you were having a block party kind of deal where maybe you got like a headliner stage in one place. This would be like the side stage, probably like, I don't know, like the size of a stage in a school auditorium, but, just sitting there. And then they had tons and tons of seats, and there were loads of people sitting up there. And when I first walked by, it was kind of, like band, and not like a school marching band kind of band, but like, just a band playing. And I was like, wow, is this like a company that's doing a concert for their employees or something? I mean, it just looked like, it was such a nice night, first of all. And there were all these people just out chilling. I was like, oh man, this is kind of cool. This looks awesome. And, I kind of think it was like a pre-graduation type deal, which, again, you look at it and you're like, this is such a weird venue for that, but they had such a perfect night. I don't know, after last year with the pandemic and all the people that didn't get to have things like that in person, whatever this was, it could have been a church or something having just an evening thing. I couldn't hear enough of it, and didn't really pause, but it certainly looked like a bunch of people that were trying not to look like slobs, and chairs that obviously had been rented or something. It was set up. There was a lot of seating around it, a few hundred people certainly all around this place in what's otherwise like a truck parking area between two buildings. And so it was cool. Whatever it was, I'm so happy for those people because they had a gorgeous evening for it. When I walked, I kind of made a big loop and came back through the same way. And at that point, somebody was speaking, and as they finished up, there's a bunch of applause. So that's kind of what made me think that and the time of year, it was probably some kind of school I don't know if it would be a graduation at a corporate place like that, but it was something. And, obviously people were having a good time, so kudos to them for picking the right day. We all know it all is a bit of luck when it comes down to trying to time outdoor events like that, but that was cool to see. It wasn't very naturey, but not everything has to be naturey. Sometimes it's just cool to see your world, see what's going on out there. The other thing that's kind of wild, and I'm still mixed. I don't know. Is the whole mask deal? And I don't know what it's like where you are, but here in Colorado, we're a little ways after kind of a change to voluntary mask as opposed to mandatory mask, and businesses have the right to do whatever they want. And so my errands today, I had to run into, for the first time in a long time, I wanted to go into Best Buy. I think everybody, I've got the InvisiShield little screen protector thing on my phone, and for the first time ever, I've always had them on, since they became a deal and touch screen phones became a deal. I've always had them on my phone. Just smart. Why wouldn't you? This is the first one, but I kind of fumbled my phone the other day, and like the top of it has now got the cracks in the shield, and it was already lifting. It like had air around the upper corners. I don't know if that contributed to it or not. I mean, it didn't contribute to me dropping it, but my phone is it doesn't get abused. It's not like I have a 5-year-old asking to play games on it and trying to bounce it, but I get a pretty robust case to go around the back and sides just to protect it from knocks and bumps and stuff. And I don't try to abuse them, and I just fat fingered it, and oh, there it went. And so yeah, the top corners are all the textured little cracky stuff, and so yeah, I needed the new little cover deal. And I think the last time I was in Best Buy was when I went after I got my phone to go get one of the little cover deals. It just seems like one of those, like, yeah, I could probably get it cheaper from Amazon, but I just want it. So why don't I just go? And I get there, and as I'm walking in, everybody's got masks on. And I think that's kind of the deal, right? If you're a business, and I don't mean to sound ageist about this, but if you're a business that serves to primarily an older population, which, let's face it, when I was a kid, Best Buy was a cool kids store. It was like all the hot tech and everything. And then the internet came along, and now it's kind of the place that you go if you don't know how to get your phone working. Geek Squad and all that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't really buy a whole lot of tech stuff from them, I don't think, unless it's last minute, right? And then it's great to have stores like that. Yeah, I could get 2-day shipping on a phone from Amazon, or a phone cover from Amazon, I'm sure, and it probably would have been cheaper, but I wouldn't have had it. And it's, every time I look at my phone, it bugs me. So I want instant gratification. It's not that one. It was like $30 or something like that for one of those. So, but then I'm talking to the guy, and he's like, well, if you got that from us, there's a lifetime warranty on those screen protector things. We'll just replace it for you. And I'm like, it's not a big deal. I put it on there. I can do it. This is not new tech, really. It's can you clean it and hold the steady hand as you put a sticker on something, to stay there forever. So it's to me, it's kind of like, whatever. Yeah, if you guys want to do this, he's like, well, I was like, can you just pull it off my card, or my purchase history or whatever? He's like, well, yeah, as long as you're registered through your phone number or whatever. I was like, well, I don't know that I've done that. He's like, oh, we can go check. So he like walks over to the register, and he's like, all right, what phone number? I get to him. Would it be under a different phone number? No. Would you like to register your phone number? Yeah, that's the hidden cost. Like, yeah, you guys would do it for free, but then I've got to have Best Buy spam on my phone or my email or whatever else you guys need. So no, I still have the thing in my, for all that, like, oh, I gotta go get it. Then it was too nice. I didn't want to do it. And then I ate, and then I went for my walk, and then I looked at the moon, and I was like, you know what? I could sit around and put a new thing on my phone, or I could record a video and talk about an eclipse. So it's still sitting there. I don't think I'm going to get it done tonight, but it's good to know I have it. And yeah. So that was the other fun of it. Oh, but the masks. That's what I was talking about. So yeah, I go in there, and like, parking lot, everybody's wearing the mask. I still have my mask. It's funny. I feel totally naked if I'm walking around without my mask on. And I kind of am of the, if you're vaccinated, then you're not at risk, and you really, again, margin error, right? Like, depending on which one you get, it's like 96 or 97 or whatever percent, and they're not all perfect. It doesn't guarantee immunity. No, nothing in life is guaranteed. Um, but it's kind of as good as it's going to get for the time being, and that part of me is like, yeah, I'm safe, and a lot of the places here have started the masks required unless you have a full vaccine, but they're not checking. There's no. It's kind of on your honor thing, and so you see a lot of these people are just rolling in, no masks, whatever. And I'm kind of walking in, and I think of my parents whenever I do this, and while they haven't been close to me during this pandemic, it's a big risk for them. It's a little bit. I'm not. I'm in the second to last group to get vaccinated, so I wasn't on the close to the old super vulnerable age, but I'm closer than I would be if I was 20, right? And so, for my own sake and for theirs and everybody else's, I took the whole mask thing very seriously, and I still kind of feel we don't need to just pretend like it's stopped being a deal. There's still variants and things that are coming out, and I think seeing people in masks helps remind that there are still people getting it, and there are still people dying from it, and there are people that, for a number of different reasons, are opposed or unable to get the vaccines. And I don't think the unable at this point is really anything too substantial. I mean, I am just bombarded with messaging and offers and enticements to go get vaccines, some of which are just crazy. It's like, come to the baseball game or come to a concert, and we'll give you a free, a vaccine to the first 100 people that want one, and then we'll give you a drink voucher, or a reduced ticket, or a rebate or something. They're basically like, hey, we as a population want enough people to get vaccinated to kill this stuff, from being spread to a viable population. So we'll entice you, and at the same time, they're saying, come to mass events to try to get that. And it's like, that's not the right messaging, because my opinion has always been people will get vaccinated if you tell them they can't go if they don't have a vaccine. And I get people might, be tempted to make fake documentation or whatever. You can't help that. That's kind of just what it is. But, if everybody got their little cards that said, hey, I've been vaccinated, I got this deal and all that. If you've got those and you show them, then you get in. If you don't have one of those cards, then you don't get in, and until you decide that you want a vaccine, you just understand that, for the good of everyone else, some of those things that aren't necessities are no longer options. I don't know, and maybe that sounds too cruel to some people, but I think that's the way to incentivize, other than just, hey, somebody's paying for that. And, it's the ticket holders and everybody when a concert venue or a stadium, a sports team or whatever are doing these. And maybe it's a government kickback to the business, but the government doesn't have money. I mean, like, we just went through a pandemic. We don't have a whole lot of extra money to kick around as taxpayers. So it feels a little messy to me. But it's been really interesting to see that in a lot of stores and businesses and things that have already put up signs that say, masks are optional, there's still a lot of people fully masked and dressed just as they have been. And then in other places where it is, I saw a couple stores, not that I walked by on my walk, not that I went into, unfortunately, but a couple that were like, masks are required here. Do not enter without face covering. And unfortunately, I think those people are going to get pressured into relaxing. And if the numbers hold out, hey, that's a good thing. But I don't know. I don't know if we're going to find that we regret that pretty quick, because we don't get another chance, right? And that's kind of the the tough part of all of this is, if this blows up again, people will not be as receptive as they were the first time. Business owners are going to fight tooth and nail against close downs. Once things open back up, there's not a do-over. Oh, we went too early. Sorry. And it could get extreme, right? There could be mandates, and then it turned. And even at the beginning of the pandemic, there was a little bit of that. Some people that at first were kind of like, yeah, whatever, we're just going to do our own thing. They got shut down out here. There were a few bars and restaurants that famously were shut down, or liquor licenses were pulled. And I remember a few stores and things that hadn't complied initially and got 30 days or whatever suspensions. And that's I know that's tough. I know people were up against a rock and a hard place when you got to pay bills and stuff. That's sometimes what you got to try to do. But I hope I hope the aid that was available helped a lot of those folks stay afloat. But yeah, it was just totally interesting. One that I'd been happy to see for a while was still fully requiring were grocery stores, and I was a little sad to see. And for that one, I still fully masked up. When I saw that like none of the staff at the Best Buy were wearing their things, and it was just a few of the people, I was like, yeah, all right, I feel pretty safe in here. It's not crowded. But in the grocery store, I kept masked up the whole time. And I think, if you're hearing this and you're going into a grocery store, remember, there are people, and yeah, maybe delivery and all that, but all that has a fee, and for whatever reason, people may not be able to do that. So groceries are necessities. People have to get in there, and they may be at bigger risk than you are. So those are the kind of places that I would be very, very reluctant to go, and not masked up for myself. Again, I'm fully vaccinated, it's soaked, and I think a lot of us feel that way, that there's not much risk to me at this point, but there's so much risk to others. And if that helps remind just one other person that's like, hey, I don't need to wear a mask because everybody else has been vaccinated, even though I haven't. Nobody will know, so I can go. Well, if it just is that little bit of extra, hey, this person's wearing it, and they're not, they're not sporting a walker or anything like that, then, hey, But again, at the same time, I'm happy that, I wouldn't have gone skiing if we were still in the same situation that we had been. And getting back to that was awesome. So I'm taking advantage too, and I know those are it's a little double standard, but I think we all pick our battles. I kind of was personally hoping that grocery stores and some of those kind of places would toe a harder line and make sure that until things had really had a chance, that for the sake of their customers that needed extra protection, they got a real long period, or we're not pushing to be first. And again, to be fair to them, they were saying masks are required unless you you have a vaccine. So I think they're trying. It's so much pressure, and I get that. There's as a business owner, you have people screaming, that if we lose one more customer, or if we don't, and it's a boom time, right? And there's people are now looking to get back out and do anything that they can. So you can't miss out on that surge of recovery type activity either. So I get the business side. I just once you're kind of at that point where your parents fall into that window, or maybe your grandparents or aunts or uncles or something, that's when it hits home. And for those who've lost people along the way, and found out the hard way, yeah, this is a serious deal. My heart goes out to you. Condolences, and I hope. Wow, did he follow me up the? You can come up scaffolding. I'm so proud. High five, dude. High five. High five. Note to self, if in the middle of a Zombie Pigman fight, scaffolding is not a bridge to safety. Oh, how we doing here? Boy, oh boy, these just couple little oven setups are sucking this stuff down, aren't they? I thought we were going to have sandboxes for days after all that. We can't even get these things to fill up. I think this might do it, though. Once they get you got 10 slots of hoppers in there and an oven to fill on each side. So once you get all those topped off, then it starts to be more manageable. So that one I think has still got some. But these four are now all... So let's see how far we can get, because we got to repair the two shovels now. So we might as well do a quick cook after I check the time, because I don't want to go super long. Hour 12. Wow, we're already longer than I thought we were. When you start shoveling sand, it's just so much fun. Alright, let's just let all that chill. Alright, place is yours, man. Oh, we talked about doing some lighting construction, but I'm not going to deal with that right now. I just want to not go too close. This is a lot of pigmen. What are you guys all doing up here? I know it's beautiful. Have you seen where we live? we're coming to hang out. You're not getting rid of us. We're like Cousin Eddie. What I should do is get these boxes set up down here to replace the glass. Oh, and oh, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, 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 hey. Is for horses. Now, again, we don't really need this in this particular scenario, but I don't really feel that this build is complete without it. And what I like to do, let's go here. I think I got all the pieces that I need. Oh, I didn't even take it out yet. I think we've eaten raw rabbit, right? The only one we haven't done yet is stew. So, in theory, this cactus will grow up. Cactus can't grow next to anything. That has to have space all the way around. So, it should grow one here and sit at 2 tall, and then every time it tries to grow a third, it will pop off. It's the mini basic cactus farm that we've got in our little base. And I honestly hardly ever collect any. But it's a thing. Gunpowder we might as well store up here. And just some sticks. Not the worst idea. You never know. What do we think our capacity's at there? Are we getting a little tap dance sound? A little bit. A little bit like rain. Dude, do not come over me when I'm taking out the creepers. That was a pretty good crop. It got our shovel a little closer. One more of those, and we should be one shovel closer, or done. I'm really tempted to start a Zombie Pigman fight just for the fun of it. When they're in low numbers, I don't think they can then bring reinforcements in. We can handle them, as we saw in the ancient bastion, or the bastion ruins, or ruined bastion. Dude, do that one more time. We're starting. I'd really at least like to wait for morning. You feel me? You feel me? Oh, there's a yawn. Not that it's that late. It's not even 10 yet. Almost. Not quite. Let's sleep. Why not? Keep the phantoms at bay, and I can drink some water. What's the other question of the moment is our screen cap thumbnail. Should me and my, wait, where? Chill, dude. All right, I'm going to stand beside you. No, I'm going to stand, hey, come here. That... It's a lot tougher. I got to do this. Oh, this way. All right, can you turn? Can you turn around with me? Come on. There. Oh, come on, dude. Oh, it's all backwards. All right. Oh, this way. Oh, don't look at me. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. Come on, this way. All right, we're just trying to. Come on, dude. Just give me one little turn. Quarter turn. Oh, did we get it? Try one more. There we go. Oh, we got you. One of these is going to be awesome. Maybe not that one. You walked in front of me. All right. Yeah, now that I've become like the first digital camera I owned, when it's like, wait, you mean I don't have to have pictures processed? I can just take a zillion? Yeah. Now that's me with screenshots. Now that I remember I want thumbnails, the last episode with all the like dog family pics, it was like, what am I doing? But I don't know what, man, something worked, because I set that to upload before I went out, you know, it was probably 6 hours or something, but they were already a few views when I got back, and I don't mean to brag or anything, I'm kind of a big deal, but yeah, some of those videos sit for quite a while before they get the first view. So I really do appreciate the likes and the comments. You know, if anybody's enjoying, definitely share some feedback, or even if you're not, you know, if you're like, I'm never coming back here because you didn't do bleh, please tell me what the bleh is so I know how to do it for you next time. I'm wondering if the little bit shorter times help. You know, obviously not a lot of people are sitting at the 2-hour mark for content. And I hope the thumbnails help a little bit. I hope the let's play in the title is helping for the search. I mean, that's how I, you know, usually I start searching hardcore vanilla Minecraft, and then sometimes, you know, I'll just run a let's play. And the most recent one oh, hang on. The most recent YouTube, I don't have nearly as much time to watch stuff as I would like, since I've been making a lot of these videos, and I really need to start advancing some out, because there's announcements coming, and maybe you know, we're a ways out, but there's gonna be some temporary scheduling change for me, which means I need to have some stuff in the hopper. I may need to do a little bit more Dreadmore and get some of those out, or queued up, and I may actually need to do some of that with Minecraft as well, just to make sure that there's not a huge drought in the midst. But I kind of struggle with how far to stack those out and what kind of schedule to maintain. But we'll see. Another part of the reason why I wanted to go into Best Buy today, getting back to that, was I just kind of wanted to take a look and see if there's anything that caught my eye. I have a say a GoPro Hero. You know, when I looked today, they were like at 8, and I think mine's like a 2 or 3 or something at the time I got it. as far as I know, it still works awesome. I haven't used it in quite a while. Um, but I've kind of been thinking outside of gaming of doing some alternate content, maybe setting up a parallel channel so it doesn't interfere with, I don't want to mix topics, right? Hambbage here is gaming, and you guys that are enjoying the content, I don't want to, cross that stuff up. But you guys hear me talk a lot about some of the topics I'm interested in, and I think something a little more dedicated to RL stuff would be a cool opportunity. I think that feeds into the video editing, feeds into having some non-PC based footage, and how all that fits together yet, I don't exactly know, but I think it'd be a really cool project to work on. And so I'm considering all that kind of stuff too in the side. I've also got I've got Dreadmore to see how far we can get. I just haven't. It's even tougher as the weather gets nicer, and now that pandemic-y. Oh man, I'm repairing a shovel that doesn't need any repairing anymore. That's the worst. All right, you guys build back up. This axe done, and I think we need wing repair too, right? As long as we're here. I mean, not to mention we just need levels. Levels and levels. But you see how quick it went? As soon as that shovel popped, we went from 13 to 19 like nothing. I mean, we were getting a level of pop when we were in the 40s, so it's not a big surprise or a shock, but... So, yeah, that's kind of a little teaser about some future stuff I've been thinking about. I've talked about a lot. I'd love to get the video editing. It's kind of like, it's just like hardcore Minecraft. Each thing that you want to do has dependencies, things that you got to do to make it happen. So, for instance, I talk a lot about wanting to stream. To stream and continue to produce YouTube, or how that fits into the VOD and all that kind of stuff. I think at least for the streaming, I need to get to where I have my standalone PCs with external monitors, dual and all that kind of stuff, because I don't know that the laptop, especially, playing on a laptop on its display, I don't have the visible bandwidth to do a chat and a game screen and everything else. I mean, if I just output the laptop to a bigger monitor, I might have a chance. But I'd much rather be doing that dual screen at least, which I could probably swing moving the world file to a PC. But my PCs are currently not in fully operational state, and I've got to prioritize doing those. And since this is not a for-profit venture at this point, none of that's happening. Also, if I want to do more robust video editing, right now, cropping out a thumbnail is easy, and just putting up the pure, you guys suffer through the gotchas and oopses, and that's been important. In the month or so I've been doing this, I've learned a lot of valuable lessons, things that I shouldn't do, things I should do, and some of the mistakes I've repeated. Sometimes updates try to run even when you don't want them to. So, once again, I wonder how long the pick was better. Only got into the 20th level though, so I don't think it was bad. Let's see how we're doing here. A little more. Probably about the same over here. Now the next question is how... Oh, 24 a pop. That's not... Whoa, why are these so much lower? It's because one was doing redstone and one was doing sandstone? Maybe. Well, still, 17 is quite a bit of coal. Sleep this time from the beginning. One more shovel to go, guys, and then the wings. Switch to the wings. That'll give us immediate gratification because those should go really quick. There we go. Instant gratification. And now that gives us something to do. We can put these back in their box. A cactus grown yet? Talk about some riveting gameplay. Let's watch the cactus and see if it grows. All right, so how you doing, boys, gang? This is gonna be some killer content. We're gonna go crazy today. Crazy cactus growing stream. Yeah. So how you doing? How you doing? How's everybody doing? You guys doing good? Yeah. This is awesome. This is totally awesome. This is awesome gameplay. It's totally killer cactus. I do get a kick out of the I can't even represent the sheer exuberance that a lot of gameplay elicits. But I love it. I just know this is a particular niche, and it's gonna have a pretty limited audience. But I know I appreciate it when I find it, and I think others do as well. And it takes the right build, people that appreciate what it takes to do those kind of things in hardcore. But somebody may tune in as we get our nether highway kind of decked out and gorgeous, and they may kind of say, yeah, this is awesome. This is something I'll really enjoy watching. I want to see more. And maybe somebody just tunes in for watching building a darkroom spawner. Just saw, hey, hardcore vanilla. Let's check out what this one is. Really, whatever the case may be, sometimes you talk about something that's of interest in your life, and that resonates with a listener or viewer, and and they want to come back and see how you're doing. And I hope if any of you guys find anything that kind of resonates like that for you, let me know in the comments. Oh man, I heard you talking about lunar eclipses, and I'm a total amateur astronomer. Here's this cool site, or here's something that I've found that's on topic but amazing. Oh, we missed it. All right, now we gotta periodically check around here to see if there's little cactus pieces. So they'll be coming in about that much time again, which means our shovel will probably, even though it doesn't seem like it'll ever be done, will probably be complete. Why are there now more guys up there? And do they climb up, or are they like popping in out of the thing somehow above? I don't understand. I don't want to just be a savage murderer, but I kind of want to. Especially if I wanted to do as we talked about and put, we could like build up a back to the scaffold and then just run a strip all the way here, and then, maybe out from these posts, connect to it, and then we can hang lanterns or make some glowstone lamps or something. Could do anything. It's our world. tell you guys about my awesome dinner. I don't think so, did I? This is another thing I'm kind of thinking with the whole GoPro deal. You know, it's just the naturey stuff and all that. But I've kind of rediscovered cooking when I'm being aware of it and trying to spring. It's post-pandemic, and some of you younger viewers may not have experienced this as much. But I think myself and a lot of other people have what's called the pandemic paunch. The gained a little bit of weight through lack of activity, and I really made a very conscious effort to stay active and not just kind of withdraw. But that's tough. Weather isn't always ideal, and we had a lot of kind of just rainy and windy kind of type weather this winter, as opposed to big snow. Man, let me get out of my snowshoes or something. I'll go crazy in it. But we had a lot of that, just like rain snow mix, or windy cold, or just it seemed like days in a row of that kind of stuff. And it just kind of takes its toll on you, especially when you're not going out. And then I found I do find as a single person living alone, one person living in my household, groceries and stuff like that, that's like a couple times a week, because I love to eat healthy. I love fresh greens and produce and veggies and all that kind of stuff. All really good. But in the height of the pandemic, I didn't want to deal with that. I was going to a grocery store once every couple of weeks, and you try to do fresh when you can get in there, and then frozen veggies a lot. But especially early in the pandemic, I kind of let a lot of my personal purchasing decisions kind of return back to what I know is not the healthiest from experience. And, what I don't do anymore at all, at my age, and really, I think most people, you're better off if you vastly minimize and all that. And I have for years, well before I've kind of further tried to be health conscious in foods and all that kind of stuff. But I've always, or not always, for a long time I didn't at all. When I was first kind of in the working world, man, I was the king of like the fast food drive-through for lunch. Oh, and it was awful. This is a fun story. My first job, which I've said before, high tech, high tech industry, and I went in straight out of college with a liberal arts degree, not a tech. I like computers and all that, but I still am not a coder. I've been network and system administrators and all that kind of stuff before kind of moving into more people type stuff and some of those kind of roles. But I certainly, know my way around some of the those aspects of computers. I guess we'll just turn this. Usually, this is where like all the outfits that we have back at the tower get assembled, because at least iron and gold. You even get the chain and all that from the zombies. As you're killing the zombies, and sometimes the skeletons, they'll drop all those, and you can scrub them, with a grindstone, and just gradually, what we can do. I don't know that we need one, but let's make a grindstone. Right, we got all the pieces. We need two of those, and oh, is that a cough? Sorry. very scattered at the moment. But I always struggle. Is it the sticks or is it the? Hey, I did it right. It's like we've been playing this in early worlds for a while. That is a big help. Really, we should. This shouldn't go over here. It should go by the cactus because this is where you take stuff to get the XP before you dump it on the cactus. Anyway, so yeah, I love buying and cooking with fresh stuff, and I've never been particularly. Oh, sorry, I was backed up to my first job. So I went to this, pre year two Y2K, right before Y2K, high tech company. And this was like Silicon Valley invades the Denver metro area. And, we had a huge deal. And they built a huge campus and all out. It was cutting edge and brand new. And I started there less than, probably a year old or so by the time I got there. And, they're building additional buildings into this campus and everything as they go. Well, so I get started, and, like all these perks and everything. I remember they just bring in like boxes and boxes of donuts and put them, they were like these central break areas. It was probably like maybe 150 people in one whole building, and there'd be just like 6 dozen donuts out for, who knows how many people were even showing up. So it was just crazy. But then they put in this cafeteria, and they had this just killer chef that ran the place, and they had like 4 different stations, and this was all paid. He bought food there, but they had these breakfast croissant sandwiches. I mean, like I probably after college, I probably put on 20 pounds working in my first office job, and it was these breakfast sandwiches to start with. It like a huge flat top, just the grill, right? That was we get like hot sandwiches and stuff at lunch, and these breakfast sandwiches, and it would be like a huge croissant, a couple fried eggs in it, cheese, and then like just awesome sausage, or really not like a hot plate bacon where it's been sitting and kind of getting soggy. Like full-on fresh, crispy bacon, whatever you would want, and then perfect hash browns. And like, there are probably 1,000 people or so at the whole place. But like, if you were at all a repeat person, the guy would get, it wasn't like you were random customers off the street. You all worked there, and so his whole deal, he's working this cushy corporate job, not at some diner, and not that he would have worked at a diner, but. Part of that is you treat everybody like a friend, not just a customer off the street. Whatever you want, you got it. You're gonna pay to make it viable, but that was the deal. And so yeah, you get like however you wanted the hash browns, extra crispy or a little not so much. He had them like set up, and he would know like what if you told him like, oh yeah, the ones you did the other day were awesome. That's how I like them, a little bit extra golden, whatever you wanted. So he would do all those kind of things, and it was cheap. It was like the price of a Denny's breakfast, but like a 5-star restaurant kind of deal. Just stupid spoiled. And then at lunches, they had these tuna melts. Oh man, just ruined for them forever. They'd put the tomato slices on all hot, get the little steam thing on the flat top, so the tuna was all like, it was like fresh made tuna salad stuff, all then put on the flat top to get hot and melty, and then cheese on top, and then the tomatoes still in there to get warmed up with it all, so it wasn't like cold refrigerator tomato on it. It was like grill heated up tomato in it. Oh, to die for. And then, yeah, you thought that was it. If you were trying to feel healthy, you could get a salad bar, and like, that was like the ritzy hotel salad bars where like, oh, you need some pudding to go with your salad? like all these like pasta options and stuff to go along. You know, you like if you could put a couple leaves of lettuce on there, you were doing well. And then, yeah, it just kept going. They had like a pasta bar, and they would full on like, you know, they had all the pasta al dente, but they like hand make up your sauces and stuff. Oh man, it was great to be in your 20s. You know, I've told stories about playing hockey, you know, adult league hockey at like 11 o'clock at night. That was the perfect part, was because you could still go burn a bunch of calories. Still, I was putting on weight because, you know, beers are still your best friend. You're still drinking like you're 21, but you're closer to 30 by the end of it. And yeah, it was wonderful time. So I've had plenty of bad eating habits over the years, and I have all kinds of favorites that are not my friends now. But over the years, I've tried to be much better about that, because when I wasn't eating in those offices, you know, I'd go out in the car, listen to some sports radio or something while I'm eating lunch from, you know, Taco Bell or McDonald's or any of those. And yeah, I've done it all. So I got, you know, I've never been just huge, but I've been unhealthy in the past, and I've tried to wake up to that and be much more conscious. And that actually works out well, because I really do. You know, I've talked a lot. Growing up, we had a big garden at our house, so always, you know, we had fresh stuff coming in. I've never been the kid that's been opposed to veggies or anything like that. It's just tough, you know, when you're in your 20s and all that. You know, you're living with roommates and they're not down, or, you know, you're trying to cook for yourself, and it's just not as easy. And when you're single, it's not as easy, unless you're committed to, you know, making stuff and having leftovers or cooking all the time. You can have a lot of waste. It seems expensive because your grocery bill is higher to get all that produce and stuff. But when you take away dining out, for the most part, and just start making some good decisions when you do eat out, that helps a lot. You know, just eliminating that whole fast food thing, for one thing, is a huge savings. And so you can make the right decisions, and that's all stuff I'd kind of like to talk about more outside. I mean, it's what can fill the time as you're circling endlessly around a creeper drop spawner, but it's I understand it doesn't have an appeal to the full game audience. So I'd like to be able to say, hey, you know, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, check out my my other channel, and you know, kind of, I don't know, Hambbage cooks. You know, I call myself Hambbage because I love slow cooking, and that's why this world, you know, and Hambbage is kind of a name I coined for just throwing, you know, ham and a bunch of cabbage, and then, you know, other random stuff, you know, corned beef and cabbage and stuff. You know, sometimes you get carrots and potatoes and that kind of stuff in there. All those kind of things. Ways that you can have really good food, but not not have to be a chef, not have to be a particularly good cook. I'm not. But I think it would be fun to, you know, try some of those kind of things out, share things that I like doing, and just, you know, little tried and true things that I've come across that maybe even if it's not in your wheelhouse right now, may resonate down the road and be like, oh, that actually, now I remember hearing that. That makes a lot of sense. So that would be cool to do as well. And that all comes back to video editing, and that all comes back to why, in addition to needing a phone, whatever those InvisiShield screen glass things are, all those good things together. So we got our Pigman Buddy screenshot for a thumbnail. We've cooked a bunch of glass. I'm not gonna leave us AFK here next time. Hey guys, look at this. We got all our shulkers full of glass. No, that's not how we roll. But we will do a bit more topping off. And in the hopes that there's some kind of awesome eclipse stories tomorrow, I'm going to stay parked maybe up here, maybe down below. I'm not sure yet. But in this area, and we'll hope that we can kind of have a chill start whenever the next episode is and talk lunar eclipse adventure stories. I doubt there will be much of an adventure, but it seems cool, and I'm hopeful that at least I get to see it enough to acknowledge that it happened. We'll see. This is actually going back. Well, I can go downstairs. Right. Add to the other end, the output side of this process. Man, I should go to bed. If I'm gonna get up early and then be productive tomorrow, I should really get this going. But this is why I struggle with like hour-long episodes. I like the game. I don't want to run away each time I'm done. Oh wait, we set this up to go over here. Do we have a cactus yet? That would be a good vindication, right? Look at me, I have cactus. Not yet. Or vindication. A good ending point. I feel vindicated. I have harvested cacti. Take some more levels, though. We gotta get, what, like 39 to name our stupid bow? Remember that fun from the last episode? Yeah, I do. Alright, well, night is falling. We got to level 25. All our gear is fixed up, and we got a bunch of sand. I'd call all of that a good win, right? We got a screenshot. I think I'm going to call it and wish you guys a very good night. Woo-vee-ish. Something. We'll put back up that thanks sign, which is what we started with today. You guys rock. I'm so glad you joined me for a little rambling in the course of shoveling up some sand. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed rambling. And I hope that you guys, even if you're hearing this after the fact, will have already been taking a break at the time of a lunar eclipse if it was in your area. Or if you're not, or you didn't have that opportunity, take that as motivation to see if there's any local natural happenings going on around you in your corner of the world, and leave a comment. Share some cool story from the world that you enjoyed on a break from your digital self. Anyway, take care of yourselves. Take care of somebody else. Stay awesome, and if it's nighttime, have a wonderful night. We'll talk to y'all next time. Till then, bye.